I wanted to make a quick video just to answer a question that we get asked quite a bit when it comes to the DL4s. Or actually, it's two questions. The first would be, what is pigment boost? And the second is, what is the difference between pigment boost and pigment boost plus? So in order to explain that, I thought I would make this video which essentially shows the lighting itself. So here we're going to start with the view of the LEDs in the non-polarized mode. So as you can see here, there are 6 white LEDs in total. And then when you switch to polarized mode, this is polarized only, we then have a total of 12 LEDs. So again, initial non-polarized light mode, there are 6 LEDs altogether. Polarized lighting, but without pigment boost, just polarized lighting only, there are 12 LEDs. Now in this next image, we're going to see the pigment boost lighting, which to answer that question, the pigment boost lighting are these orange amber colored LEDs. And what they do is they add an extra element to the visualization of pigmented structures. So this would be pigment boost lighting along with non-polarized LEDs. Okay, so we see 6 white LEDs and we see 6 amber orange pigment boost LEDs. So because non-polarized mode is looking at the surface features, it's not very often that we're going to be using this non-polarized mode when evaluating pigmented lesions, unless you choose to use the contact dermoscopy feature of the DL4, which of course you can do. Extending out that faceplate, it allows you to use oil contact dermoscopy, which then of course helps to cut through the glare of the stratum corneum so that you can use this lighting in order to better visualize pigmented lesions. But as a general rule, most people who are buying derm lights, they're doing so because they're trying to avoid the need for contact dermoscopy, which the polarized lighting allows you to do. So that would be in this next mode where we see the full gamut, the 12 white LEDs along with the 6 amber orange LEDs. So that gives us a total of 18 LEDs which are lit up in this mode of polarized in addition to pigment boost activated. Now the term pigment boost plus, in my mind, when I think of plus, I'm thinking of plus as in addition to, when in reality, this is pigment boost plus mode. So pigment boost plus essentially is the mode which allows you to use only the amber orange pigment boost lighting. So this actually brings up a third question related to this, and that, what is the difference between the DL4 and the DL4W? So the DL4W, think of the W as without. It's the DL4 without pigment boost lighting. So in other words, you get the advantage of the DL4, which includes non-polarized and polarized white LEDs. But if you don't personally care to have the addition of amber lighting, then that would be a DL4W. So the DL4W tends to be a little bit less expensive, but it's exactly the same dermatoscope, except for the fact that it is without. You don't have the addition of amber pigment boost lighting. And to be honest, we sell a fair amount of them because there are a lot of people who honestly don't feel like the amber lighting makes a huge difference when it comes to the final outcome of how you evaluate the lesions. And speaking of this, some of you may have noticed that the DL4 is described as having pigment boost plus, whereas the DL3 is described as having pigment boost. So that in and of itself is the difference between the pigment boost versions of the DL4 versus the DL3. Now, before I answer the final question that actually is related to this, I do want to point out that the DL4W without the pigment boost option, it actually in a roundabout way does have one advantage over the traditional DL4, which is that because the DL4W does not have the 6 pigment boost amber orange LEDs, they didn't leave those spaces empty. Instead, those 6 spots are occupied by white LEDs. So technically speaking, the DL4W has more white LED lighting than the original DL4. The DL4W has 24 white LEDs, whereas the DL4 has 18 white LEDs. And this is because the other 6 spots on the regular DL4 are occupied by the amber orange pigment boost LEDs. And then finally, I do want to show the 2 brightness modes of the DL4. Now I'm going to be honest, it's subtle. Okay, so here's an example. This is the DL4 held up against a dark background. You can see normal mode, slightly brighter. Normal mode, slightly brighter. Like I said, it's subtle. And the two brightness levels can be applied to the Pigment Boost LEDs as well. Again, here we see regular mode, bright mode, regular mode, and then a little bit brighter. So there you have it. That's what Pigment Boost lighting is. That's what Pigment Boost Plus lighting is. That's the difference between the DL4 and the DL4W. And that also shows you what we're referring to when it comes to the two brightness levels provided by either version of the DL4. Hopefully that helps. Thanks.